right, more playoff football in the city of Chicago. Thanks for joining us here at Fox Chicago. I'm Tina Nguyen. Ben Johnson and the Bears continuing to take the NFL by storm, coming off an emotional and comeback win against the Green Bay Packers. But they now must shift their focus to the Rams in the divisional round on Sunday. We welcome in Mike Sherman, a longtime NFL coach, was the Packers head coach from 2000 to 2005, has been with the Seahawks, Texans, and the Dolphins, where he was able to cross paths with Ben Johnson. Coach Sherman, first off, I gotta get your thoughts here on that wild Packers and Bears game this past weekend.
That really was, and as were all the games except maybe one, a great game to watch. What they accomplished in the second half of that football game, I really didn't expect that to happen, but it did. And I think a lot of people in Chicago, even the great fans of Chicago, might have had their doubts going into halftime. But they pulled it off and put themselves in a great position.
What is it like coaching in a rivalry like that, Coach?
That rivalry is so unique to any other rivalry that people can say whatever they want to say about different ones, but there's nothing like the Packer Bears, where your alumni come out of the woodwork to be at that game and to be a part of something special, they hope. And fortunately for us, when we were there 2000, 2005, we won a fair amount of those games, and so I feel pretty confident. I had to plug that in there. I feel pretty confident that we did okay, but they certainly have come around, and they are definitely headed in the right direction with Ben Johnson.
I believe you told me that you have an 8-3 record against the Bears. Is that correct?
Well, that's been questioned by my son, but I'm sticking with that. I think it's 8-3. We used to win it. We used to win at Soldiers Field. We used to call Soldiers Field Lambeau South, and because we felt like we were playing a home game. But those days are over. Ben Johnson is making sure of that.
How did you feel watching this game, though? What were your emotions? Obviously, as a former Packers head coach, but Ben Johnson has mentioned you as someone that has impacted his coaching career. Did you feel torn a little bit here?
A little bit, because you still get some green blood inside me. But I have on that staff, the Chicago's coaching staff, I have four former coaches or players that I have worked with. So like Bill Johnson, I was with him at Texas A&M as the line coach, and Al Harris, one of the best defensive back coaches in the country. I coached him in Green Bay, and he was a heck of a player, and he's a heck of a coach. Richard Smith has been coaching a long time. I worked with him at Houston, and Dennis Allen is a great defensive coordinator. So I have a fair amount of guys that I talked to after the ball game and congratulate them. But so you just I don't really take sides anymore. I take sides. Excuse me. My son-in-law is at Cincinnati. I take his side, and then anything that I'm a part of, I'll take my side. But the days of taking side for me pretty much are over.
Well, as you mentioned, you've got some connections here on this Chicago coaching staff. One of them is with Ben Johnson. You were the Dolphins offensive coordinator from 2012 to 2013. Miami was where Ben Johnson started his NFL coaching career. He held various roles there, from offensive assistant, tight ends, wide receivers coach. First off, what was it like working with a young Ben Johnson?
Well, he was very quiet, very humble. And he would be a guy he's the type of guy I'd probably be the second to last one to leave the office, and he'd be the last one. Then I'd come in the morning, and he'd still be at it on the computer trying to get tendencies or breakdowns and whatnot. But he was by far one of the hardest workers I've been around. And I I knew he called games as well as he called games, so I would have let him do it in Miami. He's certainly making a name for himself as far as a very creative offensive coordinator, and I'm sure that'll just continue. And those things, that excites fans, excites people, everybody in the National Football League when something just a little bit different comes on the table.
Yeah, he's known for being innovative, the uniqueness. We've seen the trick plays, but what impressed you most when you first started working with him?
Just his work ethic, his character, his love of family, Jessica and the kids. He checked all the boxes when you're trying to hire a coach. I mean, he's a guy that you check all the boxes to, because there's not anything there that that turns you off. Everything that he does turns you on. But like I said, when he was there, he always knew his role at that time. I mean, heck, I didn't know he was what he is today or was going to be. I wouldn't have. He plays. He takes the job that he's given. He does the very best job he can, and hopes that maybe a better job comes along maybe someday. But he's going to work hard at that one job. And I always told the guys, if you do good at one job, someone's going to notice. Well, they certainly noticed with Ben Johnson, where he has had many of opportunities. And I just have so much respect for how he waited. He didn't just jump at it the first opportunity to become a head coach. I mean, he waited until he thought it was the right time for his family, for him, and for the team he was about to coach. And I respect the heck out of him for doing that, because there's not many coaches in the league that are that discriminatory. I mean, they jump on the head, and myself included at times. You jump on it as a head coach, and but Ben didn't do it that way. He did it a really smart, good way.
You mentioned him being pretty quiet, and I've been able to talk with his former high school football coach. Everyone has mentioned how he's always kind of been a quieter guy. When you look at who he is as a play caller, obviously we mentioned the uniqueness, how innovative he is. What is it like to see him grow as a play caller from his days working with you first with the Dolphins?
Well, of course, I always try to find the plays that I ran that he's running. I get to take full credit for that. So, but you know, he actually he's as a play caller, he's excellent. But you know that the group Chippendales, the male dance group that you see in Vegas and whatnot. He could be, after ripping off his shirt like he did in the locker room, he could be one of the Chippendales dancers. He was all over the place, but he certainly was happy, as was everybody else, and he certainly deserved that. But he's just a creative guy, and he goes outside the box. He's not afraid to try something new. Sometimes it's hard to get things on paper, and he gets it on paper and he coaches it up, and it becomes very successful for him.
You mentioned Ben being patient, right? Waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for the right job. How destined was he for a job like this, head coach of the Chicago Bears?
Well, initially when he was up in Detroit, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, he was overlooked at times, which is understandable. Coaches don't always, they rise at a certain time, but, he wasn't hand-gifted anything. I mean, he earned everything he got to get to where he got. He deserves to be where he is. He's proven that he can call a game. He's proven that he can win a game, and he's proven that he can be very creative in the process, which I do think the fans love. I don't think they like the creativity of the fourth down and 50, but I think that he's very creative and has demonstrated that week in and week out.
With what he has done so far here in Chicago, an 11-win season, the Bears obviously advancing to the division round here in the postseason. They won the NFC North. I mean, what's impressed you most about what he's been able to come here to Chicago and do in year one?
Well, I think he's created a culture in Chicago that's second to none. I mean, they believe. And there was a time during last season I said, geez, he's kind of rough on the guys. He's really getting after him and not complimenting the offense. And he really wrote some guys that are pretty good. And but it turned out to be very much a positive thing. And he's just going to keep getting better and better as a head coach. I mean, he's at a higher level than most coaches his age. So imagine what the future holds for him. I think the thing that makes him special too. I really believe this. He's a humble person. He's a good person, great family guy, and he has a fair amount of humility about himself, and carries himself in a very professional way. So I see nothing but good things coming out there.
Well, one thing's for sure, he has certainly commanded this locker room. Coach, my final question for you. Any stories about Ben that you could share with us that you think would be good for us just in terms of insights on who he is now as a head coach? But was there also a moment when you realized this is someone that's going to be really successful and will be a head coach one day in the NFL?
Well, that's a hard call because, everybody's fighting to be as good as they possibly can be. at all times. You know, the only thing, Ben was just a grinder, a tireless worker. Come in early, stay late. There's many times that he slept at the office and didn't go home because he felt the need to make sure everything was exactly right. I think one of his strengths is he's an attention to detail type guy. If the ball is supposed to be 6 inches off the numbers, and you better get 6 inches off the numbers. And I think that his it's not just his creativity, but it's his work ethic that gets him where he is today, and will continue to be the barometer that he'll be tested with, and it's going to keep getting better and better. I mean, he's only it's 2 years now, right? 2 years into the league, is that right? Or 3? I think it's 2 years, and what he's accomplished, you know, the comebacks in more than one. It wasn't just the Packers, but the comebacks was really impressive.
Well, Mike Sherman, former Packers head coach, former A&M head coach as well, spent 13 seasons in the NFL. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Bears getting set to take on the Rams in the divisional round on Sunday.